Hot take. The upcoming Call of Duty Extraction Looter Shooter mode will never be Tarkov. No, it'll be better. For some. For the diehard Tarky boys out there, teeth looking like Crete gravel, undercarriage smelling like mall pizza, moaning cheeky breaky while they blast off to female Tagilla cosplays, you know, Giga Chads. Those folks don't really play other games, and they're in denial that Tarkov can ever lose any players. But escape from Tarkov player retention aside, the DMZ will present some major advantages that Tarkov is missing. So let me show you how the DMZ is actually going to become the leader in this genre. As always, I am Player2, YouTube's main source for daily news and leaks of the DMZ. So if, like me, this is going to be your main focus out of Modern Warfare 2, consider subscribing to stay in the know. Who's this sexy little number right here? This is just Denise. She's been getting ready for summer on my new PIXOO 64 that Divoom just sent me. I also have interactive counts of all my different channels, and there's a lot more that you can do with this new gaming desk aesthetic. So check it out from the link in this video's description. And thank you for being a part of this community. You know, when I start doing sponsored segments in my videos, something is going right. You guys are the reason I now have Denise in my life. Pop question. Why do people play Escape from Tarkov? You could say the heavy emphasis on being a milsim, realistic gunplay and ballistics resulting in a low time to kill. Maybe it's the insane amount of depth from building up your hideout, looting, inventory management, or you could say it's the pain fetishism from EFT's unforgiving nature, as many hardcore fans of the game will tout on Twitter. But I think it's much simpler than that. And just like everything else in life, it comes down to the illicit emotion that it causes the player to have. The addictive nature of the game arises from the high risk for high reward feeling at a level no other competitive shooter has been able to offer. In this genre, a kill and making it out of a match without a death gives you a higher sense of accomplishment than any other game mode, strictly because of all that you risk in the process. If you die in TDM, you respawn. If you die in a battle royale, you go back to the menu and start matchmaking, and then you get into the next one. You've lost nothing. If you die before you make it to the exfil in an extraction looter shooter, you potentially lose everything. Your progress is not so much determined by what level you are, but more by what you've obtained through purchasing with in-game currency that you had to earn. The effort that you put into building that loadout, upgrading the attachments, crafting or buying throwables like grenades or meds to heal your character, and the time that it took to do all that. When you drop into a match of this genre, yeah, you could technically drop in with like the bare minimum and maybe have a come up, but typically the players that are the most rewarded are the ones that came in prepared. They're in a better position to output more damage and survive longer with better weapons, armor, gear. The intensity is exacerbated even further by the hardcore atmosphere. With a much lower TTK than shooters like Halo, Apex, or Fortnite, and less mechanisms for spotting enemy players, like constant UAVs. If you're not paying attention and playing carelessly, running and gunning, that kitted out player can go down pretty quickly, making a meaty loot drop for a player needing a come up. Right now, nobody in the game does this better than Tarkov. Biased fans are always going to point to it being entirely about the depth, about the gunplay, the hardcore millism, but what they fail to recognize is it's not about the features. They are the catalyst, but not what makes the game addictive and unique. It's the feeling that those things give you. That feeling isn't reliant on the specific features that Tarkov has created. They've just been crafted so well that they make every raid feel super risky, and they offer up the highest reward for those that take a chance. Call of Duty can and probably will be able to elicit that same feeling using more casual friendly features. And as much as a diehard Tarkov fan would hate to admit it, that is the recipe for massive waves in this extraction looter shooter genre, especially with Bungie now looking to make its own entry into this game mode. It's going to be like the BR boom that we saw a few years ago, and Modern Warfare's DMZ is shaping up to be the frontrunner, not Tarkov, for three reasons. Firstly, it's a AAA, so it's going to have more polish post initial launch, that is. With a higher budget and more resources, there should be less to hold players back from enjoying the gameplay. Less bugs, crashes, etc. etc. Second, it's going to be more forgiving and more fun. The hardcore extraction looter shooter players, especially tryhard Tarky boys, are going to think that is terrible, but it's actually the catalyst for DMZ's success. We've had so many games in this genre, some of them more hardcore than others, but none of them have truly been able to create an enjoyable experience for casual players, especially Tarkov, balancing the feeling of risk, but making the game still fun and not as punishing. What the Chad players tend to not really recognize is that most of us are straight up Timmies. The majority of gamers do not have the hours to put into a game the same amount that you'd put into like a full-time job. When it comes down to it, this is what will make this genre finally blow up. We've yet to have a AAA dev team create an extraction game mode that was easy to pick up for casuals and didn't require you to grind for 100 hours to become elite enough to enjoy yourself. Okay, well technically we did with Battlefield 2042's Hazard Zone, but it was too casual. There really wasn't any significant features to set it apart as a standalone experience. With the current info that we have about the DMZ, it already shows that it's light years ahead of Hazard Zone, and much more special attention has been put into it. There's actually been an entirely separate team comprised of devs of all sorts of different companies, like guys coming over from Anthem or The Division, that have been working on this mode in secret for 4 years. It was originally supposed to launch with Modern Warfare 2019, but they didn't feel that it was ready, so they dropped Warzone instead. And that blew up to basically becoming the main Call of Duty game mode, which segues us right into the third reason of why the DMZ will be better than Tarkov. Once again, it's AAA, and one of the main names in the industry at that. None of my friends in my regular life, outside of my online community, have any idea what Escape from Tarkov even is. Everybody, even your Estonian mother-in-law, knows what Call of Duty is. They have the marketing needed to really promote this type of game mode as being the new big thing, even though we know it's not. It's been around a while, but that's what they'll do. They have a lot more money and resources to give the DMZ any feature or content that they want. When it comes to server maintenance, bug fixes, updates packed with new things, the DMZ will have a much larger team dedicated to it. This is going to be a massive advantage, and an unfair one, but an advantage nonetheless. Fans of this genre have been hankering for this kind of casual gameplay with a major company backing it. And like I said, the mass population probably hasn't even been introduced to it yet. Especially when I read some of the comments in my DMZ videos, I'd say that 100% that is the case. And people think that because it's Call of Duty, it's gonna be run and gun, crazy crackhead style gameplay, slide canceling, all that stuff will still be the meta. But those players have already been knocked down a peg in the core multiplayer experience of Modern Warfare 2 since launch, with the differences in gameplay that have already been implemented. This will be exacerbated in the DMZ. That playstyle is gonna get people killed. They're gonna lose their loadouts, and they're either gonna quit or keep playing with starter weapons, because their focus is not survival, but just to get as many kills as possible, and that won't work in the DMZ. The meta is changing, and if you're still unclear on what the DMZ is, like how this gameplay loop actually works within the game mode, check this video out here. I'll get you squared away.